Oh, the everyone's favorite Wednesday show, or any show.
The only Wednesday show.
The only show. Fair and balanced. We trademarked that. We trademarked that this morning. No one's ever used that before.
I
forget what context it was in, though.
Certainly not in any convention setting. That's for sure.
Yeah. No, I mean, I think we were talking this morning about how you have to be pretty open-minded about these players, what they're going through, the conditions that they're going to face, versus just being too heavy statistically driven. So that's why I think I came up with we're pretty fair and balanced in how we approach these things. Is that right?
Yeah, it stemmed from the conversation when you and I were texting back and forth about how people always make the mistake of just thinking about the changes this week and getting to a new golf course and whatever those changes may be, altitude or wind or weather, whatever it might be, and always looking at through their own lens. Well, like, hey, like I'm a 16 handicap that, if I had to make all those adjustments, I would play worse or something like that. Like these guys don't ever think that way. You have to be able to look through their lens, and you have to have a fair and balanced perspective on the situation. It just can't always be skewed to what you see on Twitter and everything else. You got to make some decisions and kind of figure out and talk to these guys. I mean, the press room, we had 5 press conferences today, and there was gold in all of that. Everything from, here's a great one. They're talking to Scotty about how he goes through the process of altitude adjustment, right? And he says, well, Scotty does some configuration, or Teddy does some configuration on the
track. He talks about himself in the third person.
No. He's like, Teddy
does this.
No, he's like, he goes, I just hit balls. I just keep hitting them. And then Teddy does some configuration with the TrackMan, no matter where we are. And I always end up pin high. So I'm good with it. And then, so there's a follow-up. What does he do? And he's like, yeah, it's been a really good year. So I'm not really sure. I was like,
which is like, I'm not fucking telling you.
Yeah, that was the quote unquote have fun. That's what that was.
Yeah. I talked about that today in the Discord with RPS Discord, best in the industry. Thank you. Keith's in there as well. When Rory McIlroy said his favorite Olympic sport was dressage, I was like, man, I'm out on. You exposed yourself.
So hey, man, there's been a lot of talk between you and me this week about Rory. My only point is that I'm not backing him. I'm not there or whatever. But my only point was, I said, how often is it that you could have a guy come in DFL and then the next week he could actually win a tournament, like in the playoffs, right? Like he's the only player that has enough talent to actually do something like that. Because course fit and everything here, I don't think he's a factor, but like that was my point to you, and you were having fun with it, which I love.
I said this morning again in the Discord that I think you can narrow it down to like what? Legitimately stake your life on how many people can actually win this week. What's it, 3 maybe?
Oh, I would have said 8.
Okay.
6 to 8, but it's a very small number.
Cut it to 5. I mean, Scotty, Xander, different class, right? They can win every week.
Yeah.
And then you're sort of like the 1 week resume of Hovland. I mean,
yeah, his press conference was great today. It was good. And I dug in at the end, and you could go to the transcript. He's like, man, you're trying to get in my head. I said, no, man, I'm cool. I'm just, and my question was, so I asked him, I said, there's all this narrative around changing yardages and the altitude adjustment and everything. I said, Joe Mayo is deep in the numbers, especially when it comes to short game. I said, are there any adjustments you guys have made due to lack of spin control in the thin air with pitch shots and everything else? What are you practicing? And because everyone's worried about the 7.5%, right? Those guys,
7.34,
whatever it is, right? It's not irrelevant, but they play a new course all the time. Like I love this, and I like Wyndham Clark this week, but everyone's like, oh, well, Wyndham and Tony Finau are the only people that ever played it at elevation. Like, do your homework, right? The Barracuda is played at almost 6,000 feet. You've got 3 Barracuda winners here, Matt. Colin, Akshay, and Nick Dunlop. Nick Dunlop played good last week? I don't know. Nick Dunlop good in Birdie-fests? I don't know. This is going to be a Birdie-fest, right?
Nick Dunlop is generally we said Nick Dunlop was an easy course, good player. And now Nick Dunlop has become generally a good player and of late. So I like Nick Dunlop.
Yeah, but I mean, he just won a month ago at 6,000 feet. You know, I mean, there's so many of these opportunities. I mean, Scotty Scheffler played a Corn Ferry event in Colorado. He mentioned it today in the press room. Okay, well, that pretty much qualifies. How about the fact that Ludwig Aubert went to college in Lubbock, Texas, right? Texas Tech. It's at over 3,000 feet of elevation. Every time the guy practiced, he was at a 3% adjustment, right? Like, this is what these guys do. But it's the little things that are going to throw them off. And that's like when you're hitting a 50-yard pitch and you can't get it to stop like you normally would, even on receptive greens, because there's less spin control when there's thinner air, right? Like, these are the things that are going to make the difference with some of these guys. And that's why there's 6 to 8 guys that can win in a 50-man field, because those are the ones that we know right now are playing by far, the best golf.
You know, the elevation is in Kentucky.
What?
I think
there's hills. There's hills there.
Yeah, I mean, it's 1,000 feet in Lexington. I think it's close to 3,000 in Appalachia Mountains.
Oh, yeah. I believe it.
No, that's a good point. I think you're caught up because it's a mystery course. That's the thing. And I said this again today that I'm a momentum player in terms of who I'm going to take. What is their recent momentum, and then what is their course history? You don't have course history here, so I think a lot of us who play the same way are overweighing momentum. And momentum from some of these guys does not have a long resume. I mean, look at Hovland. He was dead on arrival until last week. Will Zalatoris for us was a Corn Ferry Tour player until last week. Now we have them as in the 5 pool, including myself, as potential winners. Yeah. So is that too short a resume for guys who've struggled all season? Or are you confident that they really did find something in Memphis?
Well, okay, so Hovland told his story. People asked him because they said he stood the chance to be the first guy to not be able to defend the BMW since the playoffs started. Did you ever consider going to 3M or Wyndham? And he said no. He said the plan was always to do a week in Nashville with Joe and then go straight to Memphis, a golf course I like. And he goes, right. That week in Nashville was supremely important to solidifying the things that we've been working on for months. I feel really good about this. I'm ready to roll. So Hovland, I don't believe there's 3 types of golfers, Matt. Okay. And 2 of them don't like to play golf. The first one is a guy like Hovland right now. He's dying to play golf because he's trending upward. He thinks he's going to get better with every round. Then there's guys like that play great and they're like, man, I don't know if I want to play tomorrow. I could play bad now. And they feel like it's fleeting. And then there's people that suck and then they go, I don't want to play at all. Right. But Hovland is trending. Hold up. I saw the tour approach him today to try to do some content. He was like, yeah, I'm good. And I was like, ooh, that was awkward.
Awkward.
Yeah.
He hasn't tweeted since June.
Yeah.
And he was the best on Twitter by far on the tour.
Yeah. I mean, he's feeling it. He's feeling a lot of pressure. It's an international team year. He's 9th in the points. And, obviously he knows he shouldn't be picked right now. So it's a tough spot to be for him.
Totally. Yeah. Feel badly for him.
Yeah, very much so. And he's handling it with tremendous aplomb in and around the golf course and everything, but it's humbling and it's very difficult. And with Zalatoris coming off of injury, I would be more concerned about the one-off weeks. I feel like you could say, if you compare those two, the 2 names that you just gave me, I think that the work and the words that I heard in the press room lead me to believe that, Victor loves this golf course. He feels it looks a lot like Valhalla. He feels it looks a lot like Murfield Village. He feels very comfortable on those golf courses. He feels like he will play very well. And I think the other guy is still questioning his health and working on some things because there's a drastic swing change that took place there. Other swing changes like Hovland or somebody is making a swing change. Max is making a swing change. He's making it to improve or to enhance or to work on some finer details or maybe one aspect of his game. Zalatoris is making it so he can play on tour.
Yeah.
It's good. And he has to buy, and he has got plenty of time to do it, but he's got to buy in to this huge swing change. And that's a lot. There's a lot going on there. And so I would be a little more worried about him than I would be about backing Victor.
Okay. So we get into the weeds about this course, elevation, rough length, length. You have some some people like Cantlay said today that it's probably going to be one of the toughest walks, if not the toughest walk on tour for his caddy. He's going to be some really tired caddies this week, and these caddies are grinders. I mean, they're 7 days a week, and they're Augusta National for one, Kapalua for another. So if there is some measurement of difficulty getting around this place, you're there, right?
Oh, yeah.
So what are the things you're thinking about from this course that could provide issues with player and caddy?
So Cantlay's point, and Cantlay's another guy that wants to play more golf right now. He looks really good. He feels like he's getting better round by round. He is super live this week. And it's a great golf course fit because, again, it's a Nicklaus layout. But his point wasn't just the fact that it's like Kapalua's hilly or Augusta's hilly. It's the elevation. These guys play hilly places, but they don't play them at 6,000 feet. I've walked both nines, and it's a lot, right? And I'm not carrying anything, and I'm not playing, and I'm not under the stress or anything. And it's just, it takes your breath away. Yeah. And I think it's, all these guys should be in good shape and everything, but certainly some of the ones that are hyper athletes, like a Wyndham Clark or somebody, or like a Victor, or, these guys that really, really train well, which are also your best athletes at the top of the food chain. Those are the guys that are going to stand the best chance. Somebody like Sepp, who's a little bigger, or Shane Lowry, or somebody like that, or as a caddy that's a little bigger like that, they're going to feel a lot of extra fatigue this week. And in a golf tournament over 72 holes in 4 days, where one stroke matters, that's a stroke. That's at least a stroke. And in the games that you're playing, in the markets that you're getting into, those stroke differences are
everything.
They are the edges that matter this week.
Who finished second at the BMW last year?
No, what?
But it's still a guess, right? I mean, but
yeah.
And it's one stroke over 72 holes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in your, let's cut it to 6 in your win category, right?
Okay. Yeah.
Xander, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
Was it Tommy Fleetwood again checking in on you?
No, I saw Tommy this morning. The hair was impeccable. It's great.
I like
my hotel this morning. I took the elevator down to come over, and Mr. and Mrs. Scheffler are in there with me. So I'm standing there, and I've got my Rangers colored dunks on today, which are red, white, and blue. And he looks down at my shoes and he goes, USA. I said, hey, congrats on the gold medal. And he's like, yeah, that was a good week. I said, you think? Yeah.
Was it Scotty or his parents?
Those parents, his dad.
Oh, okay.
Mom and dad. Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty funny. Anyway. Oh, there's.
Did you say, huh? Is Tommy right there?
Yeah, he's right over there. Anyway.
Do you get off the elevator and said, make sure and always read the line and then sunglasses down, double guns?
Yeah. I don't have much of a gun show. And I tend to talk too much. So I just try to be polite and listen.
I tell you what, it worked with Martin Keimer. Remember, he said I was not going to compete well at Valhalla, and you're in the elevator and then for the first 12 holes, we thought, oh God, he's going to win.
Well, he was like, he made the cut.
Yeah,
which is pretty good for a guy who won.
Maybe you have some magic in you.
Yeah.
All right. So in our 6-person win category, Xander, Scotty, yes, right?
Oh yes, yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I almost thought that I was trying to make sure that wasn't facetious. That's all. All right. Yes. Yeah.
3rd person, you believe Hovland? I do too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
4th
one, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
The other 3 are more difficult for me. I'm putting Wyndham Clark in there because he's one of my favorites too. I think he showed enough late. I do believe in golf you need that like half a point edge.
Okay.
Local, perhaps used to it, more comfortable. I'll give him that edge. Plus, it wasn't like he played like Rory last week. He played well last week.
Oh, his 3 of his last 4 PGA Tour starts have been top 10s, and then he was 14th at the Olympics. Everyone's going to go back to the Open, but he was in the bad wave, and maybe he's just a bad Open Championship player.
Yeah.
Maybe he just is. But everything else lately has been trending polar opposite of his major championship record this year. So, I think Wyndham's very live this week.
So that's my 4. Give me two more. Then.
I would put him 6
Okay.
for me. Of guys that are super live. I think Cantley is super live.
Okay.
I think that you got to pay attention to what's going on there. He's definitely trending upwards. And I also think, the playoffs tend to do this, and people wonder why. But I also think Hideki's still pretty darn live.
Okay.
These guys are playing really, really well. And it can be an argument for 5 and 6 between, Hideki and a couple other different guys, But, you asked me a thoughtful question about, like, what's it going to take to win on this golf course? It's going to take hitting fairways that are soft and receptive. It's going to take a lot of length, and it's going to take hitting greens from that 175 to 205 category. And it's going to take a lot of self-confidence in your game to believe that when your caddy goes, hey, 8 iron, and it's a downhill 4th hole, par 3, 240, and you're going to hit 8 iron, you got to believe the guy.
And you want to hit 7, but he's saying hit 8.
Oh, and you normally hit 5. And
right.
He's like, yeah, we're going to hit 8. And you have to. And the only people that are going to believe that are the Aaron Rys of the world right now, the Xanders of the world, because they know that, like, well, I'm flushing it. There's very little beta in what I'm doing at sea level. So, like, if we've done the math right, the 7.36%, then it should just work out. Yeah. And it will.
Yeah. I said when we were talking this morning that good caddies, good caddy player relationships.
Huge this week. Huge
this week. Trust, and then smart caddies.
Yep.
And then, Willie brought up a good point to me today that the language barrier is difficult because he doesn't speak, he's not South Korean. And so, there's a lot on the fly that he has to do to translate different club lengths or distances when normally, and a lot of it's done by just body language. Right. Yep. And that is a marginal difference. So communication well, sharp caddies, and trust, and
meters, yards, that's all part of it.
Yeah.
Some of these guys learned on meters, and now all of a sudden we're doing yards, and we're doing a lot of math. We're doing a lot of math this week, right?
Ted Scott, great.
Oh yeah, I mean, play. This is one of the most because of the trust factor. Because a lot of times, like when you're at sea level, the guy says, "Hey, it's between a 6 and a 7." And he's like, the caddy gives him a little extra validation. He says, "I think it's the 7. You're hitting it great." And then the guy hits it. You need that. You're going to need that more often than other stops this week. And I think that the more you trust your caddy, the better off you're going to be. You have a Joe LaCava, you have a Ted Scott, you have somebody like that. That's again another edge. It's another very significant edge.
Yes. Okay. All right. Good. Yeah. Then I think we're in a high agreement on the potential guys who can win. You believe Hideki was not a one-off and he can carry it through. You didn't mention Rory, by the way.
And I didn't mention Colin.
Why not Colin?
Well, we could go down the list, but Rory is a little bit of an unknown. I would go back to your one-off question. So if you're one-off good or you're one-off bad, how hard is it? How much do we trust that? Because it's just 1 week.
I don't think Rory can finish last and then win at the BMW.
Be tough. With 4 or 5 guys that are playing as well as they are. I mean, Xander's playing good enough right now to go boom, boom, and win this whole thing.
He's surrounded by it, right? I mean,
he is just oozing swag right now. I mean, he looks like a rap star in a Natural Life video. I mean,
Xander, right?
Oh my God, yeah. I mean, you kidding me? I mean, he looks like Eazy-E in an NWA video like 25 years ago. I mean, just killing it. I mean, just women falling all over him and everything. That's how much confidence he's oozing, right? He's been so much different this year after winning the majors, how open and honest and transparent he's been in the press room. And he's been so much more fun. And he's removed that chip or that validation in his own mind. Xander's very tough on himself. He told a lot of stories about how, when his first year on a Korn Ferry Tour, he missed a bunch of cuts in a row and how many anger issues he had about his play. And then his first rookie year on tour, he did the same thing. And then he had to get past all of that. And he had another natural evolution this year by winning at the ultimate level. And now he's working on being the number 1 player in the world. So he's coming to terms with that. But that's, all of that is part of it. And he's just exuding just a ton of confidence right now.
What's up with Aubert? What do we make of him?
It's
Some
tough
regression,
to tell.
man.
It's tough to tell. I think that the most interesting question he was asked today in the press room was, do you consider this your rookie year on tour? And he said yes. So I think he's still approaching things with a very open mind. You got to remember, he came in not John Deere, but maybe right before that last year. And he's played so many events so quickly. I think he's just really tired. And I think also his knee's bothering him. So we've gotten to this point where he has 2 more weeks, and he's obviously going to do all this, and he's going to try his very best. But I think that he's just a half a step behind, which again is.
He's played 7 events since June 6th, since the Memorial. And that includes overseas, back here, and the Olympics.
Yeah.
That's a lot for a rookie.
I mean, so how many? He probably played like 7 or 8 events a semester. In the last year, he's played 35. That's a lot.
With a not perfect knee.
Doesn't seem like it, no.
Okay.
He doesn't favor it, but you can tell that it's bothering him.
That's the other thing, too. You see any injuries or anyone fighting it out there right now? Like track manning it to death?
Well, I think Horschel looks really, really good, but he's complaining about a bad back. Matty Fitz has thumb issues. I mean, we could go right down the list. Sepp Straka is looking at changing putters for the first time in 6 years. That's significant. Morikawa is ball testing at altitude. That's another reason why I don't like Colin this week. Colin's also here with Rick Sessinghaus, his teacher, and they're doing a lot of working on the range, not maintenance. Right. So I feel like those little things, and hey, I mean, we're all wrong more than we're right, but there's just other places you could place your money. I had a question for you.
Go ahead.
That I wanted to ask today. For the second year in a row in the BMW, it seems like the 8K range, and this is your expertise, is kind of like a dead zone. It's like super packed at the top, obviously, and it seems like there's way more options at the bottom, but like the middle in these 50-man events seems to kind of like not really pop like it normally does. And I understand there's way less players, but like, what's your take on that?
Well, the 8s are typically a dead zone because people slam the high-priced players and then go to the 7s or 6s on almost any slate. The 8s are always are skipped over because those are the 45-1 guys. I mean, you got Cam Young in there, 8,500. Who is playing that? I mean,
nobody should.
Nobody should. You got Thigala fighting it.
Big time.
I heard, right.
Yeah. And thinking about the President's Cup. Everybody keeps asking him about that.
Right. I mean, Jason Day, God love him. I don't know how he's 8,200 in this field. He's not been really relevant.
Hey, speaking of Jason Day, people should do their homework. How do people not know that he and Adam Scott once played here in the International? Right? Go look it up. I see all this content this week where everyone's like, oh, no one's ever played here before in the 50-man field. Not true. Keep going.
There you go. The more you know. Fair and balanced.
Fair and balanced.
I think that's the larger reason why, because people are going to do that and slam win 1 or 2 of Scheffler, Schauffele, Hovland. They're going to start there. There's some Rory lovers still, of course.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And that just doesn't leave you an average price point that allows you to take a gamble on. I mean, like a Justin Thomas.
Excuse me.
So that's the reason why. And there's really, no one in the 8K range, even, Aaron Rai. I mean, I always like Aaron Rai, right?
Yeah, with good reason. He looks great.
Yeah, he looks great. But, then you get down to the zone that people are going to start grabbing at, right? And the names, we won't go to the 6s yet, but one of the hottest names in this range is Pendrith and Bobby Mack. Okay, I think because of the length issue, right? But Jack courses are second shot heavy.
Fader golf courses, number 1. So Bobby Mack draws it off the tee, right? So he's going to fit it.
Right hand fade, right?
Yeah, so he's going to fit it, and then Pendrith fades it because he just bombs it, and that's what those guys do at that level that hit it that hard, right? They just hammer down left and through and close the face, and then the face is a little less closed than the path is left, and then they hit power fades, and he's a great putter. I think you get it. The greens are super complicated here. Yes, they're soft and receptive, but they are like perfect, and they have a lot of swales and tiers to them. You're going to have to be a good putter. Well, yeah, you're going to have to be a good putter, like Muirfield Village, you know, like Valhalla.
Are they going to keep the speed up still, you think?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like a 13?
They have no reason not to. They can make it whatever they want. There's plenty of moisture in the ground and in the air.
Yeah.
You know, so it's I mean, what is Jack? Jack as a player was defined by bombing it off the tee left to right. He was an excellent fairway bunker player. You're going to see a ton of those this week, shaping holes, right? And then the greens were always like Jack was a great putter, and he gives you very challenging greens on all of his designs. And you think about whether it's the Amex out in the Palm Desert or you're talking about Dublin, Ohio at Muirfield Village. That's what it is.
Yeah. Okay.
So
yeah, I'm a big Pinterest fan this week.
I like that.
We talked about Zalatoris a little bit, jumping down a little bit lower, and I
he was what, 69?
He's 68.
Dunlop was 69.
I like Dunlop.
Oh yeah,
yeah. He's
like there.
Yeah. But you're right. Like Zalatoris could be the ultimate if you're able to fade him. The price is fantastic, right? If he's $4,000 cheaper than Hovland, who just resurrected his career last week too. But he could be a trap. I mean, I would say I like Dunlap better.
Oh yeah, I agree. I like Eric Cole better too.
Why?
Because when Eric Cole's playing well, he top tens. He's a scorer, and he scores better every day, which is what you have to do. Because when leaderboard gravity starts on Sundays, look at Eric Cole's Sundays. The guy goes low on Sundays, and he just jumps people, right? And that's the day that
he's a great putter, makes a ton of birdies.
And that's what you have to do this week. Vegas set it at what, 23.5 is the over-under for the tournament?
Yeah.
Right? So if you go back to the International, the last 14 years of the International, if you do the math and convert over from Stableford, the average winning score is 20 under par. So you're talking about guys that are less athletic, at altitude, right? Not in as good a shape, not the same equipment, not the same ball, and they're still shooting 20 under. These guys are going to shoot 25 under.
Right.
And you're going to need a guy that can fill up the cup for 26, 27, 28 subpar scores. And, you know, Eric Cole can do that.
Yeah.
I mean, you're approaching almost like 42% of the holes you need to birdie in order to win the tournament.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
Yeah, I mean, you know, down there too, like if you're playing the min one rule of one of those top tier guys, have to be in your lineup, which I think is a smart rule.
Yep.
Like even a Hadwin, your guy Pavone. I mean,
ooh,
no.
Oh yeah, no, Pavone's not in good space.
Broken.
No. Yeah, broken. Yeah. Yep.
You know something.
A good head to head would be like even money, Homa versus Pavone.
Oh, really? Broken time.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Broken Pavone.
Yeah.
Wrote that down.
Yeah. I mean, remember we talked about the Olympics and you said Perez or Pavone. I said definitely Perez. Mm-hmm. And then I mean, he way up jumped over my ceiling. I'm not saying I was predicting he'd go for a medal, but I was just saying in that field, I felt like he was going to be in the top half.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, that comes to the heels of you early in the season saying Pavone was like, in terms of like looking at him swing the club.
It was great, but he's in a little bit of a mess right now.
Okay.
And, you know, he'll probably be, anyway, that's just my thoughts.
That's paddock betting. I mean, that's why you're so good at this. You're seeing the people from a golfer's personality and profession as to what people are struggling with.
That and I get close enough to hear the conversations between them and their coaches and their caddies.
Yeah.
I sent you that video this morning, just messing with you. But I mean, look at the three that were hitting balls there. It was Hovland next to Morikawa, next to Cantlay, right? And like I'm just standing there listening. You could hear him plain as day. That's why this event's great. There's only 50 guys playing. You know, they're all having conversations with their coaches. And Rick was grinding with Colin, and you know, Jamie left to go be with Nelly in Scotland, so he's not with Cantlay. He was here yesterday. Talked to him. He's like, we're ready to roll. He has the game plan. Let's go.
Yeah.
You know? And then Vic's right there. Vic was with Joe, and I don't know, Joe was getting some jersey signed by Brandon Stokely or something like that. He care less. And Vic was just ripping like a mid-iron up off the 200 sign straight uphill.
It's like Ted Scott at the Valhalla when he said, what does Scott need to work on? Nothing. He needs to work on jail.
Yeah.
That's the one thing he needed to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah, nothing on Finau really. I mean, he's done a little quiet.
Finau, I liked Finau last week. I bet Finau last week.
Right.
He's still hitting the ball just as good. The putter is a little bit of a concern. So going from Memphis, where it was easy to putt, and coming up here where it's going to be harder to putt, I would be less likely into Finau. He's a good placement bet, I think. Doesn't really live in Utah anymore, so I don't think that he's like some altitude expert. But
yeah, I want to shout out Drew Michael on Twitter at Drew MICHL. He's out there. He is a volunteer scratch golfer. I think he lives out there. Well, probably lives out there. He has said that guys who look good, Scotty, Hovland, Henley, guys who are struggling, Thagala, and Dunlap has a big hop in his step.
Yeah, because when Dunlap first got out here,
thank you, Drew.
He didn't go straight into he went to the Amex, but he didn't go straight into like Vedanta Vallarta. He went straight to Bay Hill. That's a lot, man. That's a lot. And I know he won the USAM, but that's a lot. And now he's finding his mojo, right? And he's that good of a player, it seems like. And God bless him. I think that's great, Someone's asking here about I don't know if I can click on. Can I click on these things? No. About shorter hitters, and I think shorter hitters, if they're good, like Billy Ho, like
Chris Kirk.
Harman played with JT last week. Chris Kirk for sure, because he was playing good.
Yep.
Harman played with JT last week, and I walked a lot with JT. And Harman drove the ball as good as I've ever seen it, but his irons weren't that great. He's always a decent putter. I don't know if Harman. I would have liked to have seen Harman be a little more well-rounded at Memphis. And he kind of finished in mediocre as a result, maybe like in the 40 range. I can't remember off the top of my head. But you could definitely win here as a shorter player. I mean, look at some of the past champions, Dean Wilson, David Toms, Brad Faxon. What do all those guys have in common? They're like, Mac Hughes from 50 yards and in. They're like incredible short game players.
No.
Essentially, once you do the math, this golf course is a par 72 with 4 par 5s that's 7,400 yards. So if that was down in Dallas and called Craig Ranch, the guys would shoot 30 under.
Yeah.
And that's what they're going to do.
Yeah. What's the rough like?
I mean, it's long and it's dense and it's like Kentucky bluegrass rough. I mean, it's thick, it's lush, it's beautiful and everything, but the fairways are fairly wide. Yeah. And so I don't think, the people that we are figuring on aren't going to be in the rough a lot, right? The fairways are wide enough and they're soft enough that these guys can hold them. And therefore, I wouldn't be overly concerned with the rough. And the rough around the greens is, Muirfield Village kind of rough versus Southern Hills kind of around the greens.
You think you're going to do lift and clean or no?
No, not unless it pours. Okay. I mean, the golf course is perfect right now.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Vincent, we talked about Sungjae earlier.
Yeah, he just hasn't been good for the last couple of weeks. So I would be concerned about that.
I'm just going to say that I was advised to not play him. His putting is not great right now. But again, anything can happen. I mean, Drew from the course said that he hit 30 balls in a row to 15 feet from 175. So that's today. You never know. Typically in a Birdie-fest, when you have 4 days no cut, if you want to stake your life on a guy getting an eagle or two, Sungjae is one of my top 5.
An eagle or two.
Yeah.
That's a great question.
Huh? Right. Xander.
Oh, yeah.
Sungjae is going to be there. Victor Hovland.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's a great question.
That's gonna make the difference this week, because that's not the betting side, but the framework for DraftKings is, and what makes it such high variance is the streaks, the bonuses, the eagles, the all 4 under 70. And sometimes it neutralizes or outpaces placement, and so sometimes you have players that are finishing down the board. But Chris Kirk had an ace, had a streak, had multiple streaks that juice it up.
Yeah,
so, you don't want to par every hole.
I think the birdie or better factor, the streaks are definitely super live this week. Guys will get it going. Just right out of the chute, the first 4 hills are straight downhill. First 4 holes are straight downhill.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I saw the video today.
I mean, where the guys are going to be going like birdie on 1 for sure, because par 5. And then the second hole is 440 straight downhill, birdie. Then the next hole has a pond or whatever, but like that one looks like 3-wood wedge, like birdie. And then they have a 240-yard par 3, which they're hitting 7 or 8 iron into birdie. It's just like one after another. And then it kind of goes across, and then you go up a little bit. And there's 11 approach shots that are downhill on a 7,400-yard golf course. It's a par 72. That's going to be a lot of birdies, man. A lot of birdies.
Yeah,
So birdie or better guys currently, like over the last 12 weeks, the guys that are making the most putts, the guys that are making the most subpar scores is definitely a strategy.
Yeah, I don't think 29 under. No, I think probably 22. I mean, 20. I think. What do you think
it'll be between 21 to 23, something like that.
Yeah. So you're looking about 20, 28 scores under par.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're talking to get to, let's say it's 24 under, right? So that's a third of your holes, right? So you probably need somewhere in the ballpark of about 36 birdie chances inside 20 feet, of which you've got to make a third of. And then there you go.
Yeah. Which there it is right there. Drew.
Yeah.
Drew signed on. He's on the 9th tee right now. And he says flex. Thank you, Drew.
You
Drew,
tell me, stop by the clubhouse. I'm right next to it.
Yeah, stop by the clubhouse and see Keith, unless you're insane. We don't know. I mean, Drew seems like a very rational, normal, capable human being, but you never know. So, but go see Keith.
It's pretty
Drew,
cool.
also in the comments, who you like, who you don't like. Give me one name. Jaeger bombs. I mean, I don't know. One of these guys is going to show up.
It's tough to say. I don't see anything wrong or right with him. It's easy for me to see a lot of the guys this week because there's only 50 of them. I've seen him. I did see him doing a lot of work on the greens, and we think of Steven Jaeger as a guy who drives it well and putts it well. But I'm not saying that's alarming or not. I don't monitor him week to week, so I can't tell you there's any sort of pattern. I don't know. I just don't know. I don't know.
What do you want him to yell when he sees you? Like what word?
Well, I am.
Caw.
I mean, I'm down by the front of the clubhouse, so where they interview the players. That's where again, this is real, not a green screen.
Fake. Yeah,
it's fake. Yeah, fair and balanced. So I'm not quite sure where he would get to.
My fucking neon went out, so now that's completely fake and fraudulent. So shut up.
I'll tell you this much though: if he's on the 9th tee and he's coming here right now, by the time he gets here, we can't put him on camera because he'll be hyperventilating.
Really?
9 is a climb, man. 8, 9 is like you go up like 150 feet in elevation walking those 2 holes. It is a lot. 17.
That
18,
would be a legendary thing to do for the show, though. Is someone in the comments section stays at the course, and by the time we finish the show, he's sitting beside you.
Oh my God! If he could get to a point where I could see him,
yeah,
and
what he looks like.
And I mean, can he like put a picture of himself, what he's wearing?
That's what I said. He's got a yellow word.
I'll escort him down here and I'll say this is the guest for my podcast or whatever, and that's what we'll do.
Yeah,
but I just don't know where he is.
Okay,
or what he looks like.
I'm not. I'm not built for camera. Oh, you don't do yourself a disservice. Sure you are.
Ghost Jam, do you live in Ponte Vedra?
He lives nearby. Yeah. Yeah. I can dox him right now if you want. His name's Gregory, and he's a balloon artisan.
All right.
Yeah. He makes balloon animals for kids.
I mean, it's
he only knows one though. It's a giraffe. That's it.
My mind went to a dark place there. Anyway.
All right, so let's do.
I always feel like the clowns at those parties are always making the balloons for the moms, not for the kids. But
every time around my kids' parties there was a balloon artist, I was always like just sitting there staring at him. It's like I don't know what's behind the makeup, kid.
Michelle Obama. Yeah. Anyway.
All right, let's do our snake draft. Snake draft brought to you by DraftKings. DraftKings.
Oh boy.
Grab yourself some today. Keith Stewart, PGA at Read the Line. Make sure and follow him at Keith. Well, at Read the Line _.
Go to Read the Line, man. Subscribe. If everyone doesn't subscribe there and get the weekly betting narrative from here live on site, you're missing out. You're missing out. We can't cover everything that goes into the thousands of words there.
Right.
Here.
Right.
You know that.
All right.
You're an avid reader. That's how we got together.
That's right. I don't watch movies. I read scripts.
Exactly.
All right. You go first this week in the snake draft. I'll go next. I'll get 2 picks.
All right. So
5 players.
I'm throwing out a disclaimer.
Yeah.
I'm switching. I've been thinking about this all week. For 2 weeks, you and I haven't connected on this. This is just a pure draft, right? So I'm not going with just my betting favorites and everything. Keith's top 5. I'm just pure draft, odds, and DK value, irrelevant. Xander's my number 1 pick.
Okay. I will take Xander. No, I'll take Xander. It's so funny because Saul Goodman texts me. He's like, the snake draft bit is one of the funniest things on earth that you guys can't figure it out.
I mean, it'll still be different next week in Atlanta. Speaking of which, it's
never peek behind the fourth wall.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's much nicer here. The air is drier. Remember last week with the bugs and everything? I mean, that was like a swamp.
It's fucking Memphis.
All the underwear I brought there, I just threw it out. My wife was like, "What is going on?" I was like, "That place was disgusting."
Could have left that part out. Could have left
No,
that one out. We'll edit that out. We're not live yet.
It was brutal. Yeah, we're probably not. You know.
So I said, if it's the UPS Cup, UPS Cup, it'd be at Valhalla every year.
Snake draft.
Snake draft. Okay, snake draft. I'll take Xander. This is just pure players. If I'm going to pick the top 5, Xander 1. This is shock no one. Scotty 2.
All right, I'm going to go Xander 1 for me. Then I'm going to go Vic 2, Scotty 3.
Okay, I'm going Wyndham Clark next.
Okay,
Vic Hovland.
All right, so that's your 5. I am going to go Cantley next, and then I will go Clark.
Okay, so your difference right now.
I don't get ticked. That's 6.
Oh,
I'll go Cantley.
No, that's
next.
5. That's 5. That's right.
Cantley's 5.
That's 5. Yeah. We said 5 in this snake draft, right?
We still did it wrong, Saul. You still did it wrong.
Oh, who's going to close out? Who's going to close out for me? Nick Dunlap.
Give me a random top 10.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay.
A player that's going to be over 5-1 to bet top 10.
Over 5-1 top 10?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I could say Nick Dunlap, but that's kind of cheap.
No, that's the type of guy I'm going to pick. I have somebody in mind.
Yeah, I'll say Nick Dunlap.
I'll say Eric Cole.
Fair. People will like that.
I just think so. The again, what do you got here?
What are you talking about? That's how the snake draft works, Pepe.
I mean, you know what's going to happen? We're still going to keep doing the snake draft, but DraftKings is going to pull their sponsorship of the snake draft.
Absolutely. Yeah. You can't figure out how a snake draft works.
Which, by the way, anyway, no, forget it. I'll talk to you afterwards.
Okay.
Eric Cole, the media center this year here at the BMW is adjacent to the range, and there is a wall where on the outside it's a reflective glass, but on the inside we could see out into the range. So I could sit at my desk in the media center. I'll put a picture of this or a video of this in the Discord.
Flex.
And when you pan out, you can see the whole range. Like it's amazing. It's so cool.
So they can't see you, but you can see them.
Yeah, it's funny. Like earlier today, Billy Horschel walked over to the mirror and he was like doing swings in front of it. You know, like
oh no,
no, it was great. And
are anyone fixing their hair?
And so we were all sitting there, and I was like, this is pretty funny. Like he's like right in front of us. And I guarantee he has no idea 3 people are here having a conversation. And then one of the tour guys walked by who knows him really well. They banged on the window, and he was like, he stopped, and he was like, "Oh, geez, like what's going on?" You know?
Yeah,
it's pretty funny.
Yeah. You'll catch some players in bad moments in those reflections.
I mean, it's golf. Guys grinding. It's guys grinding. Yeah.
All right. Brought to you by DraftKings and Supercuts. Had a Supercuts this morning.
Yeah.
I sat down in the chair. I said, let's not make this mediocre cuts. Everyone laughed.
I mean,
so Xander's it, right?
I mean, I think he's ready to roll, man. It looks good.
Swagger season.
It
Hey,
looks
Drew. Hey, Drew, what hole are you on now? He said Eckroat. He's yelling Eckroat.
There's this guy on the hill over there yelling Eckroat. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, just yell Eckroat.
Ah.
Yeah, probably. All right, Keith. I'll talk to you. I'll talk to you after we stop going live.
Wiley, thanks for a great show. Discord, love you all.
Thank you.
Peace.
Who's your favorite?
In the Discord?
Yeah.
All of them.
Okay, nice.
All of them.
You're
I mean,
pro. You're a pro.
I'm like, I spent my whole life at a golf course. I'm a golf geek.
Yeah,
those degenerates, those are my people, man. I come out here and, I mean, you want to hear a crazy story the other day. I'm flying here and we're on the tarmac and there's a guy on the plane doesn't want to be on the plane anymore. Not a good situation, right?
Freaking out?
And he's freaking out. Yeah. He's freaking out in a bad way, though. Like he's broke up with his girlfriend or something like that. He's just screaming. So we had to go back to the terminal. The guy gets arrested. The people have to fill out all this paperwork and everything. It was like 2 hours late or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm happy to battle through all of that nonsense for my Discord and my Read the Line members. This is what we got to do. You got to be here to understand it's all about Spin Loft.
And that person was Ghost Jammed.
Could have been. I don't know.